Hello and welcome once again to another episode of the Cade and Eric Show podcast, brought to you by faith, family, and friends. So today, I'd just like to thank everybody who has listened to the previous episodes. This is episode number 30. Been doing this for 30 weeks so far, and it's pretty exciting. It's fun to do these shows. It's fun to sit there and look at where everybody is coming from, where everybody listens to. Like I said, there are... 5 countries and 65 different cities. I haven't counted the states, but most of the states here in the U.S. But let me just get all this information pulled up here. So you've got, gotta click the right thing. So yes, we have 5 countries, 65 different cities. So thank you to everybody who listens. It's amazing to sit there and look at all the information, look at all where everybody's downloading from. It's pretty cool. It's pretty exciting. That I started this. Well, I had this idea, a few years ago, but it just didn't seem to really materialize. And then finally, I just couldn't take it anymore. And I decided to do this podcast. So it's been 30 weeks. This is episode number 30. So this is pretty awesome. So thank you to everybody who listens. And please share, like, subscribe. I'm on any podcast platform that you could think of. That's where you will find it. Please share with your friends. Rate, please 5 stars. 5 stars only. Thank you very much. But you can find my other information, other stories, other videos on Facebook, X, TikTok, YouTube, and Truth Social. Cade and Eric Show on all of those. So today, a little bit more in Israel. The difference, there's a massive difference in the rallies for the pro-Israel rallies and what I like to call the pro-terrorist rallies. There's a big difference in the different rallies, or one of them is a rally and the other was a riot. So there was a big difference with that. We'll go over that. And then Republicans just never fail to disappoint you. Never fail to disappoint you. 8 Republicans just failed to remove Secretary of the Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas. Failed his first impeachment. Maybe there'll be another one, but let's get to let's get some fun stuff, and then I've got a nice feel-good story here at the end. Something fun, something just happened to me yesterday, but it's a good story, good feel-good story. But so let's get into the sports. I haven't really talked about this before, but Michigan is kind of in some trouble here. Jim Harbaugh, who is their head coach, is just breaking news here on the ESPN app that will accept a three-game suspension. I was going to say 3 year. No, not 3 years. From the Big Ten, and the conference will end its investigation into a sign stealing scheme. So apparently they, maybe I did, I can't remember, but talked about this a little bit. But apparently they were involved with some sign stealing scheme, some coach or somebody went to like the team that they were playing the week before, anyway. Got Joe Biden on the mind, but the team that they were going to play the next week, they would go to the team's game, whoever they were playing the week before, and steal their signs and stuff. But just kind of ridiculous. There is a Texas's head coach, Steve Sarkisian, who was a former BYU quarterback. Back in the 90s, he was great. He was an amazing quarterback. He's a great coach, too. So Texas is, I'll get into that. But this is kind of his take on the whole stupid sign stealing thing. See, it's not just the Astros. It's not just baseball. So to all the Astros haters out there or whatever, it's not just the Astros. See? So, yeah. So here's what Steve Sarkisian kind of had to say. And I agree with what he said.
Helmet radios.
Yes, please.
Okay, in college
Everybody
football.
write an article about why doesn't college football have coach-to-player communication? So I don't have to deal with sign stealing, and I spend half my week, changing signals and signs rather than coaching the game of football. There's no shortage of money in college football, clearly. So that whole idea that it's a competitive disadvantage for those that can't do it, or that stadiums aren't equipped to have that type of technology, I don't buy it. Every time I turn on anything late at night and we're talking about college football, if not the first topic, the second topic is we're talking about sign stealing. And our game is way too good. There's too many good stories going on right now in college football that's at the forefront of what we're doing.
I would agree. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, they have millions of dollars in college football. Why can't they get how much like they do in the NFL? It doesn't make any sense. So I'm 100% there. I think that would be awesome, because then they'd get rid of all those big stupid cards, and then everybody's trying to steal each other's stuff. And anyway, yeah, it's just, I agree. So the latest college football ranking has come out for this past week. And let's see, where are we at here? So Georgia jumped up one, and they are number 1. Ohio State, Michigan, FSU comes in at number 4, so they are still in the playoff race. So I think they just have to win out. They don't have any more conference game nor ranked teams. They play like Northern Alabama or something this week, and then they play Florida as their last game. Washington, Oregon, Texas, Alabama, Missouri, and then Louisville. So those are the top 10. Yeah, so it'll be fun. Sad there's only 2 games left in college football, but that is how it is right now. Halfway through the NFL season, the Niners finally freaking won. They crushed the Jags like 34-3, so that was great. They had so the 49ers running back, Christian McCaffrey, he had a NFL tying, I think he had 17 touchdowns in a row, 17 consecutive games with a touchdown, and they were so close to number 18 this Sunday, but he could not. Jags would not let him in, unfortunately. So the record stops at 17, and he's tied with some really amazing other players. If I can pull this up real quick. Oh, here we go. He is with Lenny Moore. I don't recognize that name. John Riggins. I guess these are older guys. But then O.J. Simpson. Most consecutive games with a touchdown in NFL history is Christian McCaffrey. Lenny Moore have 17. John Riggins and O.J. Simpson with 15. The guy that didn't kill his wife. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I wish he would have gotten 18, but he did not, unfortunately. And then BYU just got crushed again. So that's the end of that. Texas pulled out a win. And yeah. So should we get into this? Let's get into this. About 10 minutes of worth of sports talk. So again, if you don't like sports, apologize, but it's one of my favorite things. Oh, the Astros. Speaking of MLB updates, the Astros now have a manager. They have promoted one of their bench coaches, Joe Espada, to the managerial position. I don't know how long he's been with the Astros for a long time, so we do have a manager now, which is awesome. So let's continue the dynasty. I know there's big talks with Alex Bregman. Hopefully they can get him signed to a big extension, because he's definitely one of the core guys that has helped us win and be successful as long as they have. So that's great news, awesome news. So hopefully Joe Espada will continue the greatness in Houston Astro baseball. So all right, let's get into the nonsense of the week here. There was another GOP debate. I didn't really talk about it much or at all, I don't think, last week. I don't know. It's just a nightmare. It's just, I don't know. there's some other guys that have dropped. Tim Scott, I think, has dropped out of the race. I don't know. It just there wasn't a whole lot of excitement this one around. But just yeah, they had it. So that's all. Probably, if you want to look it up to see how it went, you can probably do that. But I want to talk about some other things that are good. So, where do we start? Do we start with China, or do Israel, or the stupid Republicans that can't seem to pull their heads out of their butts? So, let's start with the Republicans here. So, Marjorie Taylor Greene brought forth articles of impeachment for Alejandro Mayorkas, who is the Homeland Security Secretary, and he's done an absolute crap job. Record numbers of people pouring into the country, record illegals. So she brought forth articles of impeachment, but there were, for whatever reason, and I don't understand why, but 8 Republicans sided with the Democrats to keep him in his position. And just idiotic. You know, it's just so stupid. This guy's the worst in... And let's revisit some of his numbers here. So we had September in illegals, southern border encounters for the fiscal year of 2023, 269,735. Making, that's just September. You know, October, I think there were similar numbers. And making the total of this year 2.4, almost 2.5 million. Just this year, right? Just this year. On the terror watch list, I've made a video of this on TikTok and I've put it on my other social medias. The terror watch list encounters at the southern border and northern borders. Fiscal year 19 and 20, there were a total of 6 in those 2 years. And then magically, when Biden gets into office in 2021, that number goes to 16, which that was the number that brought down the Twin Towers and did 9/11 was 16. Fiscal year 22, so that was last year, of 98. And then fiscal year of this year, 172 when I first got these numbers, and it has gone up since then. So this guy has done an absolute horrendous job at securing our border. But if you talk to anybody in the administration, the demented, pooped his pants in administration, here's a little montage of what they're having to say about the border, right? Because they're, obviously they're going to be like, yeah, the border is secure. The border is secure. So let's just let them kind of say it. Shall we?
It is my testimony that the border is secure.
We have a secure border in that is a priority for any nation, including ours and our administration.
We have taken unprecedented action over the past year and a half to secure our border.
We have a process in place to manage migrants at the border. We're working to make sure it's safe and orderly and humane.
The border is closed.
We agree that the border is secure.
We're executing a comprehensive strategy to secure our borders.
One of our highest priorities is to ensure that we have a secure border, and that is what we are doing.
The border is secure.
The border is secure. So here's a little bit more of Alejandro Mayorkas.
Cannot overemphasize that our current situation is the outcome of Congress leaving a broken, outdated immigration system in place for over 2 decades, despite unanimous agreement that we desperately need legislative reform. It is also the result of Congress's decision not to provide us with the resources we need and that we requested. The lifting of the Title 42 public health order does not mean our border is open. In fact, it is the contrary. Our use of our immigration enforcement authorities under Title VIII of the United States Code means tougher consequences for people who cross the border illegally.
They're going to give them all kinds of money, cell phones, hotels. They'll take over hotels in New York City and other places and house them. And then when they actually build camps or refugee areas for these people, they don't like it, and then they want to go back to the hotels because it's cold. It's cold out there in the north there. It's cold, so they don't want to be outside. So yeah, that's the guy. That's the dude right there that is in charge of our homeland security. Even though since him and his demented boss have been in the administration and been in our presidency, 10 million people have crossed our border. But don't worry about that. They've got the border secure. And him talking about resources, yeah, they had resources. They have pieces of wall that are just sitting out there rusting in the desert, and then they sell them off, the pieces, to, I guess, whoever wants them. I don't know why you'd want a huge wall fence, but maybe they repurpose it and make a nice sculpture out of it. Maybe, because around where I live, they all of a sudden, the city here, there was all kinds of random sculptures put out. It's just junk that's made into animal sculptures. Like, they've got old baseball bats into a rooster. They've got I don't know, mailboxes into a turtle. They've got all kinds of weird just junk, and they made it into statues and things that just turn with the wind. And I don't know, I think they look ugly. I don't really particularly like them. So maybe that's what they're doing with the old pieces of wall, is they're just making little sculptures out of it, some of this modern art crap. But this is what Marjorie Taylor Greene said. And then I'll go over the list of the 8 Republicans that voted to keep this doofus face in his current position.
Republicans joined the Democrats and protected your job. But I want you to know, you have a short time coming. You can honorably resign, or we are going to impeach you. And it's happening very, very soon.
I hope so. Let's get rid of this guy. So the list of Republicans, if this guy is, I think they're all, there's a woman. But if these gentlemen and lady is over your area, give them a call. So you've got Ken Buck, a representative from Colorado, Daryl Issa from California, Tom McClintock from California, Patrick McHenry, not the great patriot, but not Patrick Henry, not that guy, but Patrick McHenry from North Carolina, John Duarte from California, Virginia Fox from North Carolina, Cliff Bentz from Oregon, and Mike Turner from Ohio were the 8 Republicans that voted with the Democrats to have Secretary Mayorkas to keep his job. So if they are your representative, please give them a call and ask them why. And I'd like to hear their wonderful answers as to why they decided to do that. So he's getting to keep his job, so that's awesome. Even though there's been 10 million people come across our border and close to 200 on the terror watch list. But yeah, it's great, isn't it? Just lovely. This administration is not over yet. We still have a year. We have a year left with this guy. And then he wants another 4. I don't think we're going to survive if he has another 4. So please get out and vote. Please get out and vote this guy the heck out of office. That'd be great. That'd be awesome. So let's move to San Francisco. And on our trip around the world, or around the country here, I guess it's around the world because we'll talk about Israel. But San Francisco used to be a great, beautiful city, one of the jewels of the West. I've said this before. I have my family is from there. My mom was born in the San Francisco area, and she grew up there. My grandparents lived there, obviously, with my uncles, great grandparents, great uncles. So, I have ties to San Francisco. And then, of course, that's the reason I like the 49ers is because, they were there and my grandpa was a 49er fan. So I just, in the 90s, I gravitated towards that and the 49ers. So, and I've kind of followed the Giants a little bit, more because of, I have a friend who's a big Giants fan and I'm just a baseball fan. I would love to go to Oracle Park. It is a beautiful looking park, but that's not the point. But San Francisco has, if you've seen any videos of San Francisco, it has become a total and utter crap hole. There is an app, or was an app out there, where you could report literal feces on the ground, and it got so bad that the areas of San Francisco were black on the app because of all the feces that were everywhere. There were homeless, there was drugs. People just don't even roll up their windows. They leave their windows down in their cars, and the back windows and windshields are still broken. It doesn't matter. They'll leave notes on their car saying there's nothing in the cars, and they still break the windows. And I don't know, what do they do with they try to break in and steal whatever they can. That's San Francisco today, right? So there was this big meeting with Xi Jinping and Biden. And then I think Trudeau, the Canadian Prime Minister, his doofus face came down to, I believe. They went to San Francisco. I don't know why they picked San Francisco. Apparently, Gavin Newsom, the despicable governor of California. I apologize if you live in California and he's your governor, but vote him out, please. That would be great. Fire him from his job. But so they decided to clean up San Francisco because Xi Jinping, the president, or whatever his title is called, from China was coming to visit. So what do? You clean up the poop for the Chinese. You don't clean up the poop because of Americans that are living there. You don't clean up the city because Americans want to visit. I would love to go see San Francisco. I would love to go visit San Francisco. In fact, my wife's uncle lives around the San Francisco area. And, I'd love to go visit. I'd love to go see where my mom was born. In my church, there's a big temple there that I would love to go see. I'd just love to see San Francisco. I think it'd be fun. But they don't clean it up for that. They don't clean it up for the people that live there. They don't clean it up or help the people that are there. No, what do? They clean it up for the communist leader from China that's coming over to visit. And Gavin Newsom, the despicable little weasel that he is, he gave the reason for the cleanup.
Folks say, they're just cleaning up this place because all those fancy leaders are coming into town. That's true. Because it's true. But it's also true for months and months and months prior to APEC, we've been having different conversations. And we've raised the bar of expectation between the city, the county, and the state.
He's raised the bar, man. He has raised the bar. They've had conversations for months and months and months now. Yeah. So what about the years prior to the months and months where you allowed that once beautiful city to go completely to rot? What was stopping you then? But so yeah, Xi came, and he's the same guy that Biden has spent a whole bunch of time with, and I don't know why this is a big deal for him, but let me pull this up here just a minute. This wonderful quote that has been debunked was over the summer, I believe. I can't remember if it was this year or last year. But anyway, he's sitting there talking about his traveling with Xi Jinping. And Remember this great quote here? If you don't, welcome to the quote. It is it's been used by the right for quite a while now. But just listen to President poop his pants real quick.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was in the foothills of the Himalayas with Xi Jinping.
So that was the part.
Traveling with him, and that's when traveled 17,000 miles when I was vice president. I don't know that for a fact. America is a nation.
So he doesn't know for a fact. So that was, that was one of the times he said it. And so here's another time.
I spent more time with Xi Jinping than any world leader has. 68 hours alone with just he and I and an interpreter. Traveled 17,000 miles with him here and in China. On the Tibetan plateau, he turned to me and he asked me, he said, "Can you define America for me?" And I was deadly earnest. I said, "Yes. In one word, possibilities." We in America believe anything's possible if we try it. Anything we do together, we can get done. I spent more time with Xi Jinping.
You got the angry old man coming out too. So he got it out. So the first time, he was like, what is the America defined in one word? It's in the hills of the Tibetan plateau. But apparently it's possibilities. He told Xi as they traveled 17, 18, 19, 100,000 miles around the globe. Which he doesn't know if that's true or not, so it's probably a lie. So, yeah, so that's the guy that he has spent all this amazing time. And if you've seen videos of it, San Francisco, it looked like China, to be honest. It looked like China. There was like maybe one little American flag in this particular shot that I had seen. The other flags were there was a big, huge Chinese flag, and then there was a whole bunch of other Chinese flags. But not an American flag though, except for maybe a little one that I saw. There might be a little one, but just Chinese flags everywhere. Welcoming in, the blackmailer, and probably Biden's boss, Xi. So that's great. Good job there, San Francisco. Just, it's just pathetic that they sit there, they clean up the city for this guy to come in, but for Americans to come in and want to visit or see or just who live there, no, then they're not going to clean that up for you. And there's a guy that this wasn't because of the stupid APEC thing coming into San Francisco, but this is, I think, from some time ago, and he was asking the same questions.
Sleeping on the streets. Why do we in one of the biggest economies here in California take care of illegal immigrants, but our people are sleeping on the streets? I'd like to hear an answer to that. Why? Nobody can ever answer that question. Why don't people put American citizens first, but illegal immigrants get everything? And I hope you post this. I want this to go viral because I give a damn and I care about my community. My dad is a retired Navy captain. He served our country honorably. My grandfather is a retired Navy captain, and I'm doing my part to help our country. The Democrat Party does not put our people first. They put sanctuary cities first. They put illegal aliens first. They tax us. They tax our water. You can't even do laundry and shower on the same day. While Nancy Pelosi is getting hundreds of thousands of dollars, robbing our pockets, not doing anything for our people, not passing legislation, passing out pens like they're candy.
He's got a great point. He has got a great point that the Democrats put illegals, they'll put Chinese dictator presidents and over American citizens, as that's what they're famous for. At least this administration, at least the Democrats who are in Congress, they'll put America last. America last with them. But good. But, San Francisco got cleaned up, and I guarantee once this APEC thing's over, it'll go back right to where it was. And then they won't care. They will not care one bit. So another thing that I want to get to today is, have you ever noticed there's a stark contrast between the rallies, like I mentioned earlier, that there's a difference between the pro-Israel rallies and then the pro-Palestinian or pro-Hamas, pro-terrorist rallies around the country and around the world. I mentioned last week that there was a pro-Palestinian rally in Washington, D.C., where they drew tons of people, unfortunately. And then they tried to break down the White House fence. I actually had a friend who was in New York City. That, there was riots and rallies. If you want to call them a rally, I call them riots. In New York City, and there's videos around where they're trying to break into Grand Central Station. They're trying to kick down the doors that, if you actually look at the door and you pay attention, there's a handle on there and you pull it. So they're not too bright, these guys, these people that are pro-Palestinian. They're not too bright. But, there's a handle where you pull the door open and they're trying to kick it in. But, I don't know, they just want to destroy it. And so they happened to be there. It was a couple of friends of mine that were in New York City. I guess they avoided all the death and destruction. But she's like, it didn't really affect us. They're traveling there for fun. But the rallies for these pro-Palestinians always end up in violence and even death. There was the guy that was assaulted by a pro-Palestinian with a megaphone. He was an elderly gentleman. He was Jewish, and he got hit in the head. Then subsequently hit his head again on the concrete or on the floor or on the street, and he ended up dying because of it. So I have never seen anything to the extent that there's going on with these pro-Palestinian riots for Israel. Now this week, and I wish I could have gone there. I wish I could have gone to DC this week and stood in the crowd of, it was estimated about 300,000 people were in DC. There was no destruction, there was no vandalism, there was no death, there was no anything that is associated with all of these other Palestinian rallies. There was none of it. And there's none in any of the other ones either that I've ever seen. There's no pro-Israel rally where there is destruction, where they're defacing monuments, where they graffiti, where they destroy things. And the ones that, there's another one in New York City where they decided to rip down the American flag and then put up the Palestinian flag. They threw that flag, they threw the American flag on the ground, and then they subsequently put in the Palestinian flag. But let's just have you listen a little bit to the pro-Israel rally this week in DC. And if you did go there, please let me know how it was. Kate and Eric showing any of the socials that are out there. Please let me know how it was. I really would like to know, because I wish so bad I was up there and I could participate. But jobs and other responsibilities. I had to be here in Texas. But so let's go. I want to just listen to the crowd for that for just a minute. So that's a bunch of people, and they are singing what is called the hat. I'm gonna butcher this, and I apologize. Hat ikva. Sorry. Apologize for the pronunciation of that, but what that is, I don't want the lyrics for that, because I had to look this up, because I was not quite sure. It's the national anthem for the state of Israel. So, and maybe it'll show me how to pronounce this thing. Anyway, but so they're singing songs. There's no screaming. There's no yelling. I mean, there was prayers. It was it looked like a really amazing, beautiful rally there in Washington, D.C. If you have been there, please let me know. I would love to have gone if you've experienced that. But so there's there's just a huge, stark difference between the pro-Palestinian rallies and the pro-Israeli rallies, because the Palestinian rallies also seem to have like this, like I said, they were ripping down American flags, but this anti-American, anti-Israel rhetoric to it as well. It's not just about freeing from the river to the sea crap. There's just this hatred of America, hatred of Israel, hatred of the West, hatred of all of it. And you just think like, all right, then what are you doing in here in the Western cities and countries? Like, what are you doing here in America if you hate it? What are you doing in the European countries if you hate what their values are? I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. But there's a huge stark difference between the two different rallies, and it's kind of really, really sad that there are tons, and it's like the Ivy League schools, they just sit there and embrace this crap. It's just awful. Just awful. There's another thing from Bill Maher. I think I've been playing him for quite a bit these last few weeks, but there's one thing I'd like to point out. And if I've played this before, I do apologize, but I like to kind of let you know what he has to say and just the hypocrisy of those that blame Israel. But here's what he had to say.
Refer to Israel as an outpost of Western civilization like it's a bad thing. Please note, Western civilization is what gave the world pretty much every goddamn liberal precept that liberals are supposed to adore. Individual liberty, scientific inquiry, rule of law, religious freedom, women's rights, human rights, democracy, trial by jury, freedom of speech. Please, somebody stop us before we enlighten again. And since one can find all these concepts in today's Israel and virtually nowhere else in the Middle East, if anything, the world would be a better place if it had more Israels. Of course, this message falls on deaf ears to the current crop who reduce everything to being only victims or victimizers, so Israel is lumped in as the toxic fruit of the victimizing West. The irony being that all marginalized people live better today because of Western ideals, not in spite of them. Mark?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Martin Luther King used Henry David Thoreau's essay Civil Disobedience to help shape the civil rights movement. The UN's Universal Declaration of Human Rights owes its core to Rousseau and Voltaire. Cleisthenes never showed up for a sexual harassment seminar. But without him, there's no democracy. The cop who murdered George Floyd got 21 years for violating his Fourth Amendment rights, an idea we got directly from John Locke, who no one in college would ever study anymore because he's so old and so white and so dead. So Western. Yes, that's how simple the woke are. It's never about ideas. If it was, would they be cheering on Hamas for their preside over a country where there are no laws against sexual harassment, spousal rape, domestic violence, homophobia, honor killings, or child marriage? This is who liberals think you should stand with? Women there should be so lucky as to get colonized by anybody else. And for the record, the Jews didn't colonize Israel or anywhere ever except maybe Boca Raton. Gaza wasn't seized by Israel like India or Kenya was by the British Empire, and the partitioning of the region wasn't decided by Jews, but by a vote of the United Nations in 1947, with everyone from Russia to Haiti voting for it. But apparently they don't teach this at Drag Queen Story Hour anymore. Now, it is true that for too long, we didn't study enough Asian or African or Latin American history. But part of the reason for that is, frankly, there's not as much to study. Colleges replaced courses in Western Civ. Boo! Rock and roll, dead white men, am I right? They replaced that with world civilization classes, which is fine in theory, but what it meant in practice is you read queer poetry of the African diaspora instead of Shakespeare. And I'm sure there's value in both. But as usual, America only ever overcorrects. And so we're at this place now where the words Western Civ became kind of a shorthand for white people ruined everything. But they didn't ruin everything. No, they didn't live up to their own ideals for far too long and committed atrocities. But people back then were all atrocious. Not just the white ones, depending on who had the power. But it was the Western Enlightenment that gave rise to the notion that the law of the jungle should be curbed. Henry David Thoreau, John Stuart Mill, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, three named dudes. It's all about three named dudes. Three named dudes like that were the OG social justice warriors. The ideas that came through Athens, Rome, London, Paris, and yes, Philadelphia, are what make life good for most people in free societies today.
Thank you.
The individuals value, and even the powers that be must submit to the rule of law. That punishment should not be cruel and unusual. That the accused people get a trial. That there is such a thing as a war crime. Why is it that every other culture gets a pass, but the West is exclusively the sum of the worst things it's ever done? You think only white people colonized? Historians estimate that the very non-Western Mr. Genghis Khan killed 40 million people, and that was in the 13th century. He single-handedly may have reduced the world's population by 11%. On the other hand, he kind of made up for it, because he was such a prolific colonizer of vaginas that today an estimated 16 million people are his direct descendants. So stop saying Western civilization like it's a contradiction in terms. It's not. You're thinking of moderate Republican.
Well, I mean, he's right. Without the West, without Western ideologies, without Western culture, the world would not be a free and safer space. But let's blame the West. Let's continue to blame the West, blame white people for all the atrocities ever committed on the planet Earth, ever. So, yeah. One last thing that I wanted to get to that I forgot to get to a little bit with the sports thing is the Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Golden Knights went to, this is a little funny story, went to the White House, as all professional teams do that win their respective championships. Like the Astros went this year to visit the White House and visit President Pooped His Pants. Of course, they gave him a jersey, which I did not like because he didn't earn any of that crap. But so the Las Vegas Knights, which is hockey, which is the NHL, they won the Stanley Cup. They beat the Dallas Stars this past season and won the Stanley Cup. And they came to visit the White House. And so President Biden and his brilliance and his majesty was sitting there talking to them about the Eagles and how they they shouldn't beat the Eagles when they play them. The only problem with that is because his wife's apparently from Philadelphia, so he was talking about the Philadelphia Eagles. From to my knowledge, there is not an Eagles hockey team in the NHL. So yeah, he's sitting there talking to the Golden Knights who play hockey, telling them, please don't beat the Philadelphia Eagles who play football. So, but that's our president. That's our president who's out there talking with Xi Jinping on the Tibetan plateau. Apparently he thought he was Brad Pitt in the movie 7 Years in Tibet. Apparently that's where he thought. So maybe he traveled 17,000 miles in his demented old brain. But yeah, so they visited the White House, and he told them, please don't beat the Eagles because he'll have to hear about it from his wife, who play football, and the Vegas Knights play hockey. But was that ever reported in the news? Oh, if Trump had said something like that, it would be everywhere. So funny little story there at the end. And then a nice story. So yesterday, I wanted to get to this. Yesterday, I had a bit of a long work day. And I had to get up early this morning because I had to take a patient in for surgery. So I had to pick him up and take him to the hospital. So I had to get up at really pretty early, about 4:30 this morning. And usually for breakfast, I make smoothies, right? I put the ice in, and I put the yogurt in, and I put the protein powder and a banana, and then some milk, and, blend that all up. And I was like, people aren't, my wife and my stepson aren't going to appreciate the blender going at 4:30 in the morning. So I went to Walmart just to pick up some protein bars and some Pop-Tarts. I don't know why I've had this craving for Pop-Tarts, but I have. And so I went to go pick those up. I had picked up a prescription from a pharmacy, before I went to Walmart. And they had told me that I had, they put my credit card in the little bag that has the medicine. And so when I went to Walmart, I had forgotten that part. I'd forgotten that my card, one of my cards was in the medicine bag. In the car. And so I proceed to get to the checkout, and I look in my wallet, and my credit card isn't there, and I panicked. I'm sitting there thinking, what the crap happened? I'm like, did I buy something and then just leave my credit card? And so I was sitting there kind of panicking, and I told the cashier lady, I was like, I'm sorry, I don't have my credit card. I'm gonna have to go find out what happened to it because I've lost my credit card. And there was a gentleman walking past. I don't know his name. But if for happen chance he listens to the show, or who this gentleman is, I did shake his hand. He not that we don't have, it was like $10. Not that I don't have the $10 to buy the stupid protein bars and the Pop-Tarts, but he decided to pay for it. And, I told him he didn't have to do it, but he did. He's like, no, it's $10. And so he subsequently paid it, and I walked, I take the bag, and the cashier, she was like, see, there are still good people here in the world today. And I do believe that's true. I believe that there are still good people in the world today, just like this man here in Walmart in Keller, Texas. If he finds this show and he he's the one that paid it, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I just was tired yesterday, and I totally forgot that my credit card was sitting in the stupid medicine bag in my car. So if something like that happens to, please pay it forward. And same, I'm preaching to the choir here for me. But there are still good people. There are still good people in this world. The proof is with the rallies out there that are peaceful, that are not violent, that are not destructive. There are good people out there in the world, and it is not dark and dreary, because I do believe there is a balance. There is definitely a balance. There might be seem like there's more evil just based on the news and whatnot, but there are still good things and good people out there. They're just not loud and vocal. They do things quietly. They do things, not for praise or anything like that, but there are good things or good people still out there. And with that, I hope you've enjoyed the show. Remember to like, subscribe, follow, and share. Please rate the show. I apologize for that. My stupid computer wants to update. But, so next week is Thanksgiving here in the United States. So I'm trying to figure out if I should do the episode Wednesday or Friday, because Thanksgiving is this Thursday, so I probably will not be doing the show on Thursday, so maybe I'll do it earlier in the week. Probably do it like Wednesday or something like that. So hopefully you have a great weekend. Hopefully you have a great week next week. And please, if you want some other content, go to any of my socials here. Facebook, X, or Twitter, I guess. TikTok, YouTube, and True Social, Cade Nerd Show. Wherever, and then obviously wherever you listen to your podcast. Please like, subscribe, follow, and share, rate, all that good stuff. So thank you for listening to the show. Thank you for everything. It really means a lot. It's really exciting to see all the different cities, all the different countries where the show is being picked up on. So thank you very much. Have a great weekend, and I will talk with you next week. Bye-bye.